The trial of former powerful alderman Ed Burke is set to get underway this morning, and Dane joins us to give us a preview. Dane, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, we're in the lobby of the Dirksen Federal Building where the trial will be held. Alderman Ed Burke has not yet arrived. There are a number of cameras out on Dearborn Street right now waiting for his sedan to pull up. Burke, famously very fastidious and punctual, will undoubtedly be here before the trial starts this morning sometime around 9:30. Now, this has been a trial that prosecutors have been waiting for more than 4 years. These charges were originally filed against Burke in January of 2019. And then a superseding indictment was filed a few months later. Altogether, there are 14 federal charges, including bribery, racketeering, and attempted extortion. Burke served in the city council for 54 years, beginning in 1969, when he took over the 14th Ward aldermanic seat held by his father. He was, for much of that time, the undisputed most powerful alderman in the city council, chairman of the finance committee, which controls all the money that's spent by the city of Chicago. But at the same time, he was also the owner of a successful property tax appeal business, and the indictment alleges he used his clout at City Hall to force businesses to hire his law firm and put money in his personal pockets. Those allegations had been swimming around Burke for years, but there wasn't much until the feds were able to catch and flip former Alderman Danny Solis, who agreed to wear a wire, and that they were able to make a case against Burke by recording thousands of his private phone calls and conversations. Former FBI agent Ross Rice says prosecutors have built a strong case against the longtime alderman.
According to court documents, they intercepted over 9,000 conversations during an 8 to 10 month period. When you have the defendant's own words in their own voice and can present that to the jury, there's no better evidence.
Now, the first order of business today will be picking a jury. That process expected to take at least a day, possibly a couple of days, because of Burke's notoriety in Chicago and also because of the nature of the charges against him. Both prosecutors and Burke's defense attorneys have submitted a list of questions to the judge. Some of those potential jurors will be pre-screened by filling out forms, and then the judge will ask them the questions one by one. That process could take a couple of days before the trial actually gets underway, probably tomorrow afternoon or Wednesday morning. The trial expected to take about a couple of weeks. At the Dirksen Federal Building, Dane Placco, Fox 32 Chicago, back to you.
Dane, one quick question. Alderman Solis, he was the one who did those recordings. Word is he could testify, but surprisingly not for the prosecution, but through the defense. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Normally you would think the person who was flipped, the mole who flipped for the government and made the recordings, would testify for prosecutors. In fact, in this case, he's agreed to be called as a defense witness. He had no say over that. He couldn't say no. He has to testify if the defense calls him. It'll be interesting to see what Burke's lawyers try to get out of that. Prosecutors they didn't want to put Solis on the stand because they have hours and hours of recordings that they plan to play during the trial. They believe that those audio recordings are much more powerful than the testimony of an indicted alderman.
Yeah, well, no doubt, no matter what, it's going to be a very interesting trial to watch. Thanks for that, Dane.